Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again and starting off the week with the last two Edge of Eternity's cards I want to cover for this set. Please, after you've been through tomorrow's video as well, let me know in the comments today and tomorrow if there's any of the legends from Edge of Eternity that I haven't covered you want to see me do. But I've kind of used most of them, I think, in most of the decks. I think the only two I haven't covered so far are the main face cards of the Commander decks, mainly because they are the Commander cards and they are the ones that really have the decks built around them already, so I haven't really gone into them. But if you want me to do, let me know in the comments down below today, tomorrow. But for today's video, we're obviously here to talk about, nope, that way, there you go. Alpharael, Stonechosen, 3 and double black for a 3/3 human cleric. Has Ward, where you have to discard a card at random, and then Void. Whenever Alpharael attacks, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or spell was warped this turn, defending player loses half their life rounded up. That's quite a big thing to lose just for attacking with the 3/3. Yes, it costs 5 mana, I'm aware of that. But losing half your life just because you've had something leave the battlefield. But what can we get to leave the battlefield before we attack? Oh yeah, tokens. So here we go. Here's what today's deck really does look like. So 27 creatures in the deck for today. Starting with the greedy freebooter, because when it dies we scry and get a treasure token, which is something we can then sacrifice to basically have Alpharael trigger for a void. Beamsaw Prospector's next, comes in, when it dies you get a lander token, another thing we can sacrifice. Gleaming Barrier, dies, becomes a treasure token. Yep. And then Minstrosity, when it dies we get a food token, something else we can sacrifice, that triggers void as well. Timeline Colour is also just fun. We can have this coming in and out all the time basically. I quite like this. Paying the 2 life gets a little bit expensive sometimes, but it's got a haste, it's a 2/2 for 2 black, and pretty straightforward in this deck, especially if you warped it in. Academy Manufacturer, because we are creating food and clues and the odd treasure token. Makes perfect sense to have this here, to have even more things we can sacrifice, so Alpharael always triggers. Arian, the first of Lockvein, well, we're playing black creatures, might as well have this here to gain a little bit of life and make everyone lose a little bit. And you know, it does give us a way of sacrificing some things. Obviously we've got non-land permanents leaving the battlefield if we need them to. The Gumdrop Poisoner is next, gives us a food token, and then when it enters the battlefield we get to give something -X/-X, where this amount of the life we've gained, as you all know. Kane the Traitorous Dragoon comes in from Final Fantasy. Now I never covered Kane when I did all the Final Fantasy videos because it just seemed weird, but in this deck it's quite good fun because it does give us some treasure tokens and we lose a little bit of life. But I'm happy to lose a little bit of life, that's fine. If I'm getting some treasures I can sacrifice off the next turn. Lobella, Defender of Bag End, comes in from Lord of the Rings, enters the battlefield, look at the top card of each opponent's library and exile those cards face down. We can sacrifice an artifact to choose one. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life, it's a starting point. Or we can just play one of the cards that's been exiled if it's going to help us out. The Loyal Subordinates here, because I do like the Lieutenant creatures and this one's nice, it gives a way of making everyone lose 3 life each turn as long as it stays in play. Murderous Rider Swift End, part of the removal suite we've got coming up. So we've got something that's left the battlefield for when we attack with Alpharael. Rapturous Guest, also in from Lord of the Rings from the Commander sets. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to your blade, you get a food token. Yeah, okay then. Sacrifice food, this gets bigger, and then when this dies, leaves the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to its power. Usually goes in black, white, blink decks, but it's quite nice in this deck as well, so, you know, that's fine. Susurian Voidborn, Vampire Soldier, whenever this creature, another creature or artifact you control dies, target opponent loses 1, you gain 1. Yep, a little bit of benefit for sacking off our foods, clues, etc. Undercity Scrounger, just to give us a way of creating treasure tokens when we've killed creatures off. And yeah, we have got the combo in here. So Vito Thorn of Dusk Roses here just to help us do the whole life gain and life loss bit. Especially with the Bloodletter of Alcazalts in here as well. If an opponent would lose life during your turn, they lose twice that much life instead. Bit good with Alpha in play. Yeah. Cryptcast, just to give us a way of extorting things and doubling up our swamp production mana. Dread Presence, it gives us another way of dealing 2 to any target and gaining 2 when we play swamps, and or a card draw on life loss if we need it. Elegy Acolyte comes in from Edge of Eternities as well. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you draw a card, lose a life. And then you get the Void and you get the Robot. Enduring Tenacity seemed a bit of fun, carries on nicely whenever you gain life. Target opponent loses that much life. Let's just keep doing it. Pitiless Plunderer, whenever the creature you control dies, you get treasure. Rev, Tithe Extractor also comes in. Target creature gets Death Touch, and when they deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token, exile top card, you can play it, la-di-da-di-da. You know the score of Rev, I hope. Bloodthirsty Conqueror, whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. Obviously, we've got the combo with Vitu as well, so that's part 1. Old Flitterfang, when at the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, you get a food token. Kukushko, no brainer, mono black, why would you not play Kukushko? And then finally, Archfiend of Despair. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life that player lost this turn. Yeah, okay, that really upsets your opponents quite significantly, yeah. Anyway, from there, sorceries, Tragic Trajectory, just to give us a bit of kill. Hymn of the Faller, Surveil, draw a card, lose a life, and then non-land type permanent was left the battlefield warp. This turn you get to draw another card, so probably 2 for 1 most of the time. Decode Transmissions, again you want to make sure you've got something that's left the battlefield, so everyone you draw 2 and everyone loses 2. Foreboding Fruit, target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life, and then we get a food token if we spend 3 black mana on it, which we will do. Damnation for the board control. Taste of Death, so everyone can sacrifice creatures and get some food tokens, we can sacrifice them to Alpha. And Blood Money, just another way of controlling the wall, and it gives us a whole load of treasure tokens, which we can then use to have fun with Alpha. From there, just 3 instants, Deadly Dispute, just so we can get some card draw and treasures on the way, and again another way of sacrificing things so we can trigger Alpha. Baleful Mastery, we can basically pay the 1 in the black and let someone draw a card and just exile a creature or planeswalker. Again, it's something that's left the battlefield, so that triggers Alpha. And Overwhelming Response, probably a little bit more expensive at 5 mana, but we might be able to get it down to 3, which is fine if we're exiling something. Artifacts, well, Elixir of Immortality is actually a no-brainer in this deck because we do want things to leave our battlefield, and this is one of the cheap ways of doing it. Prying Blade, gives us treasures when it deals combat damage. Soul Ring, Arcane Signet for the ramp. Brotherhood Regalia, that goes on Alpha quite happily just to get that extra damage in. Charcoal Diamond for the ramp, Jet Medallion for the ramp. Kita City, another way of making Alpha unblockable. Mindstone ramping, Fort Vessel ramping, Trailblazers Blutes, another way of making one of our creatures unblockable if we need it to be, or Alpha itself. The Nuka Cola Vending Machine gives us food tokens, and then we can sacrifice foods. When we sacrifice food, we get tapped treasures, so we keep going. Whispered Silk Cloak to get through, and maybe protect Alpha really well because of the Shroud ability, so it's worth definitely having this one here. The Darkness Crystal cuts the cost of our black spells down. We can exile our creatures, our opponent's creatures, and gain 2 life, and then we can nick them, basically, and put them back into play, which sounds like a plan to me. And Transmutation Font, blood, clue, or food, and then sacrifice 3 artifacts. We get to go and find an artifact card and put it onto the battlefield. All good. Enchantments, well, Blood Chief Ascension, because if an opponent lost 2 or more life this turn, you put a quest counter on here, then you can start draining everybody. Scavenger's Talent, whenever 1 or more creatures you control die, create a food token, that's fine. Whenever you sacrifice permanent, target player mills 2, and then at the beginning of your end step, if you have sacrificed 3 or more other non-land permanents, if you do, return a creature card from our graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. That's fine by me for the Scavenger's Talent. Meathook Massacre controls the board, Phyrexian Arena draws us cards, Court of Ambition just gives a way of making people lose life. Severa the Super Void is also in. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exiles it. Yep, okay. At the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creatures, sacrifice this and then grab a creature card exiled with it onto the battlefield with an additional couple of +1/+1 counters on it. Quite like this enchantment. I'm surprised it's not seeing more play yet, but I suppose the set's still new and it will see more as we go along. Within range is in, gives us some warrior tokens. Whenever you attack, each opponent loses life equals the number of creatures attacking them, so that's a bit more fun. And then, yeah, Exquisite Blood, Polluted Bonds, you know the combo. Well, Exquisite Blood's here, Polluted Bonds drops all the damage for the land dropping. Revel in Riches, if we do get up to 10 treasures, we win the game at the beginning of our upkeep. And then the other half of the Exquisite Blood is Sanguine Bond. That's here as well. Yeah, probably not going to be popular if you have them both in play, so be aware of it. And finally, Wound Reflection. Although I'm playing on MTGO, this was an older card that came through, and I just proved the point. I like the Doctor Who artwork, which is why I've left it there. But we have got, there you go, came from Shadowmoor at some stage originally. At the end of each turn, each opponent loses life equal to the life he or she lost this turn. Yeah, another one's going to make you really unpopular, but works really well with Alpha up the top here. Beyond that, well, Access Tunnel, so we can make Alpha unblockable, another way of doing it. Then both Cabal, Coffers and Stronghold are here. Haven Ghoul Labs in just for a little bit of fun. We can pay 4 to investigate to get the clue if we need to. At the beginning of your end step, if you sacrifice 3 or more clues, you transform it into the Mystery. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and when that creature, the creature put into the battlefield with the Mystery this way leaves the battlefield, you get to transform it back again. So, you know, a bit fun. Search lands with Monstrous Theatre, card draw with Miku, search, make sure your hand size is always there, search, Rogue Passage so we can make Alpha unblockable, and then the planet from the new set, Age of Eternities, pay 2 life, sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to the sacrifice creature's power. Another way of drawing cards, another sack outlet if we need it to make sure void triggers. 22 swamps, 1 Temple of the False God, and Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. I don't think you need to know what they do, you should all know what they do by now, and that's it. That is my take on Alpharael. Yeah, it took me a little bit while to think about this one because I found it quite challenging, but hey, I've covered it now and it's done. Let me know in the comments down below if there's anything I've missed out you think that should be here, and we can always update the deck when I'm streaming. This is coming out on Monday the 18th, so probably won't be streaming until this Sunday next weekend, unfortunately, due to my work commitments this week. But hey, we're there, we'll get it streamed and you can see it played then. So come and give me a follow on Twitch, there's a link down below. Please hit the like, subscribe button here, and also the share button. Help me beat the YouTube algorithm a little bit more. Let me know in the comments what I've missed out and I will respond. But thanks for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow with another one. So for now, take care, have a good one. Bye bye.